back to the old grind, priming and painting. At least at this point, just priming. I cheated on the inside of this box because it's so rusted and pitted from batteries burping over in here. I truck lined it, ground the piss out of the rust, and got everything somewhat disabled, and truck lined it. I will be end up painting that thing green inside there, but I'm not gonna spend all the time stripping it. I sandblasted it all on the inside there, got all the rust pits blasted and shit, and all that fun crap. Recommend anyone that does sandblasting buy a hood. I got sand in my ears, my hair, everywhere. But yeah, let this stuff dry and I'll give her a good sanding and I'll get painted up too. Finally got my ass to the car wash and degreased the living crap out of this. I don't know if you guys saw in the last video, one of the videos I put up, that was all nothing but oil and dirt caked in there. Got it all pressure washed, cleaned up. There's some spots I just couldn't get to, and I'm about to hand degrease it, or hand clean it, get the oil and shit off it, but I got 90% of the crap done, and then I ended up, whoa, stay my jeans right here. Tried to go with me. I ended up wet sanding this again and throwing another coat of paint on it. Much better. Still got dirt nibs in it, but there's no sanding marks anymore. That's just wet sanding it and then throw another coat of paint on it. That shop update vid I did on the tractor, I had some comment about, well, it's rail can paint, you can't keep it wet. This John Deere, I did not buy Krylon or Duplicolor or whatever. I bought, yeah, no, fucking place is a disaster. Bought actual John Deere paint. And what's in this can is not the same as this shit. Yeah, it says bond to plastic, blah blah blah, but it's not the regular Krylon or Duplicolor you'd buy. This shit it dries within 30 minutes. You can wet sand it, dry sand it, if you got enough heat in your shop. This shit right here, I'll tell you right now, anyone else that goes this route that I did, if you're gonna use John Deere paint, do it in the summertime. Okay, unless you got a heated insulated garage like I do. I happen to be one of those lucky bastards that have a furnace in here that's insulated and we run the heat all winter long, so I can keep the garage at a pretty even temp. This is not your average spray paint. Tomorrow night when I go to spray that, I'll show you exactly what I mean. This does not lay down like regular aerosol can paint. It actually kind of lays down like, if you actually bought this shit in a gallon jug and put reducer in it, hardener and all that other bullshit, that's how this shit acts like. This almost acts like it's, if you mix paint, like if you're painting a car or whatever, this actually acts like you mix it too thin. My issue was the primer I used, I didn't let it sit up enough. My brother's a body guy, and I was talking to him about it tonight. He's like, well, how long to let the primer sit? Well, the primer says it only needs blah, blah, blah. He goes, well, you got at least wait a day and a half before you start wet sanding aerosol primer and doing that shit. That's why you got such deep scratches, and that's why this wasn't covering with the shit. But then he started looking at what's actually in this paint, and he's like, yeah, this ain't your regular paint, but I got you figured out now. I'm gonna end up buying I got a regular gun. I got two guns. I got one to spray color and clear, and I got another spray gun I just use for primer. But I'm gonna buy a little touch-up gun, and all this shit's gonna get regular automotive clear put on it. And the reason why I want to buy touch-up is the overspray is not that bad. because there's just too much shit in this garage to cover up. This is my own place. I would, you know, the car's got covers on them. I'd put plastic over them, and I'd fucking spray away. Because there's all the shit that's in this freaking garage, it ain't worth dicking around with covering, but it's not my place. So, I gotta behave a little bit, but look at this thing now. That's no clear on it, no wet sanding with 1,000 or 1,500 or 2,000, then buffing it. That's the way the paint laid out after I wet sanded it and threw another coat on it. I'm pretty satisfied with it. So if you take your time and you prep things half-assed decent, you'll get somewhat decent results. And I had someone comment right there, you can see those puck marks. Well, that console right there comes over to about right here. So you ain't gonna see that, but I don't know exactly. My brother looked at the ingredients in that paint. He goes, "This is not regular rail can paint." It is a lacquer paint though, but whatever. This paint, you gotta do it light. You gotta take your time. You know, to do one complete coat on this takes like 15-20 minutes because you can't. If you lay it down hard, you know, like most of the time you use like aerosol paint to keep shit from getting dry spots, doing what they call a wet coat. Regular aerosol paints, you gotta fucking move, man. Move fucking quick. But the way this shit lays down, you gotta take some time to it. The only way I know how to explain this paint is like having a automotive gun that's dumping out too much paint at a time, or you get the wrong pressure on it, or whatever. But yeah, that's all aerosol paint, and not too shabby, as I say so myself. But I'm gonna do, and this shit dry as fuck. It takes. I've been screwing out this paint for about a week and a half now because you can't, like regular rail can paint, you can let it sit for 24 hours. That's, you know, if you got, like this garage has been sitting at 70 degrees, day in and day out. Regular paint, rail can paint, you could go and, after 24 hours, go back and wet sand it and do whatever. This shit's gotta sit for a minimum of 2 days. This John Deere paint, minimum of 2 days. Because even with wet sanding, it'll gum your paper up in a heartbeat. Because it's not dried, it's not hard. I sprayed the underside of this thing. Well, I'll show you guys when I flip this thing over. This paint dries extremely hard. But it takes forever to do it. I mean, it takes a minimum of 2 days for you can think about wet sanding it. So I'm going to let this thing sit for at least 3 days, and then I'm going to go back and wet sand it and recoat it, let it sit for another 3 days, and then I'm going to take a touch-up gun. Anyone that does auto body work, they call it a touch-up gun. It's just a smaller gun. It puts out less overspray and a tiny little cup on it, and I'm going to go back and I'll spray clear on it. Maybe wet sand it one more time, then clear it again. I guess patience pays off. I cannot believe the finish on this thing for rail can paint. But you can't see my scratches in it anymore. Turn the light on, maybe. But yeah, all sanding scratches you saw in that last video. That was just a dog hair there, that white mark you saw right about here, but I had my dog Eddie out here today. But yeah, I'm gonna wet sand it one more time and spray some color on it and let it sit for a couple days and wet sand it again and then clear it. But yeah, I mean, I could have went for the price it cost me for one can of the actual John Deere paint. I could have bought 2 of the Krylon. That's the equipment paint, they call it. And they call it John Deere green or yellow. But if I would have bought that shit, I would not get the results I got right there. I mean, the scratches are gone in it. It's got a nice shine to it. Looks a hell of a lot better in person than it does in this camera, but I'm impressed. I like this is the next on the chopping block here. Tomorrow I'm going to tear the wheels off of it and start tearing this shit apart and getting this all prepped. This I'm not going with John Deere paint. One of the reasons why I'm not doing it is because it's not oil or gas resistant. And I'm not going to take the chance on it because I know that shit's going to get spilt on it. But I know this shit right here, this Duplicolor, it's made for engines. You can pour gasoline, oil on it, whatever. It won't peel up or discolor or whatever. So that's what I'm painting all the chassis parts with. But yeah, Ed's Garage asked me about, you know, what happened after you wet sanded and painted it. What happened? Well, frickin' looks tits. It is way more expensive using the aerosol John Deere paint, but if you can't spray, if you don't have the equipment to spray, or you don't have the area where you can do it, like I'm not spraying around that thing, and the station wagon that's appraised at $50,000, I'm not I'm not busting out a sprayer in here. No fucking way. But yeah, turned out good. I guess it all depends on what materials you use and how much you're willing to spend and time and money. That turned out pretty goddamn good. This is the next one. Get everything all cleaned up, buzzed down, and I'm not gonna bother priming this because that paint's not set up for primer. It's set up for bare metal. So I'm just gonna rough it up and take care of the rust, some of the parts that are rusted on it, and rough everything else up and spray it and let it be. But I'll catch you guys later. Thanks for watching. Rate, comment, subscribe. Appreciate all the comments I get on this, you know. Whether you guys think I'm fucking nuts or go, hey, try this, might make your life easier. I appreciate everything, guys. Catch y'all later. Bye.